Welcome back, and in this video, this is the 22nd video, and it's on inheritance. And basically, in this video, we're going to go over inheritance and what it is and how to do it. So, what we're going to do first is create two classes. So, from the previous videos, you know how to create a class. Just create two classes. So, I'm just going to name this class 1 and create another class called class 2. You can name yours whatever, but that's what I'm going to name it. So, basically what inheritance is say I have functions in this class. And just create a few functions in your class. So, void function 1, and then say we just have another one, function 2, and they have no parameters, just very simple, just to show you an example. So, create two classes, and then create two functions within each class. And actually just for one class. So just create two functions in the first class. So basically, what we're going to do for inheritance is basically for this class, oh, forgot to add the public. So for this class, we have two functions, function 1 and function 2. And they both just simply print out I'm function 1 and I'm function 2. And we have a class number 2, and this has nothing in it. So what we're going to do is create an object for class 1 and just say class 1 object. Again, you can name yours whatever you want. I actually encourage that you change the name of these so that sort of, tests a little bit more, so you're not just going through it. You can just go through it, it's just preference, but basically we have two classes and we're going to go over inheritance. So class 2 can't really use function 2. So if I go to use function 2, it's not going to pop up, as you can see, and it's not going to allow me to use it. So when I create class 2 object, and I go down here and I want to use my class 2 object to call function 2, it's not going to work. And the reason that it's not going to work is because function 2, even though it's public and it's in class 1, for class 2 doesn't have function 2. And it's not, it doesn't know anything about class 1. They're different classes. So if you're building a program and you have, say you're building a game and you have all your guns in this class and all your cars in this class, all of your cars have nothing to do with all of your guns. So that's why you create different classes. You create similar functions that have similar attributes that, are different from one another. So other than that, you wouldn't need to create a class. So the reason to have different classes is to have different similar things within those classes. But to allow one class to use the other class, so say if I had a car that had, and we'll go ahead and I'll change this. So we have class car, and we'll change this down here, and then we have a class guns. So class guns, and then there's just function 1 and 2. Car's lowercase down there, so car's lowercase up here, and guns matches that. So we just have these two. So say I had a car that used a gun, or let's change this around, sorry. Okay, so guns up here, car down there, guns, and then let's just say guns object, and then car object, and then guns object. So basically what we're doing is, okay, so when I went to call function 2 from the guns class, it didn't work. And the reason I changed this is, as it was a little bit complicated, you'll see why. So when I have inheritance, basically, let's just say I have a car. Let's delete this because it didn't work. I have a car that uses a gun. So I have a car with a gun on top of it or something, and for that reason, I don't want to rebuild the function that has all of the, instructions of what that gun does. So say if this was gun 1 and gun 2, then gun 1, say if I wanted to use in this car, I didn't want to rewrite this function down here. So say if I went to write, void gun 1, and then I had to rewrite all of those instructions, or I even had to, go up here and copy and paste it down here. Instead of doing that, I can access that class by using inheritance. And inheritance is used by going in between the name of the class in this first curly brace. And you put a colon, space, or you don't have to put the space, but I recommend doing it. Put public, space, and then what we put after that is the class, or not the class, but the class's name that we want to inherit from. So we type guns because in this case we want to inherit a function from guns. And when we do this, we're inheriting all the public functions. So again, later on we'll go over private inheritance, but for now we just want public inheritance because these two functions are both public. So now that we have a public inheritance on this car class, we can now use our guns on this car. So that was just, metaphor. So basically what we're going to use is those functions in this class now. So what I can now do is say I do want to call function 1, and as you can see it does pop up as a recommendation by CodeBlocks. So I can use function 1 here. So let's just say I have a class car and I have a constructor, and remember constructors are the first thing that run when you call a program. So I have a constructor, or not when you call a program, but when you're calling a class and you declare an object. So the first thing that runs when you declare an object is the constructor. The last thing that runs when you declare an object is the deconstructor. And basically this constructor, which is the first thing that's going to run when I call my object for the car class, is going to run function 1. And since we have an inheritance for the public, we have a public inheritance on the guns class, I can use function 1 in the car class. So the constructor runs function 1, and that's basically all it does. So now that I have car created and I created an object for it, I have a constructor, I can go ahead and run this program. And as you can see, I get an error, and for that reason is that everything in here isn't set to public. And that's it. So should be able to run it now. There we go. So as you can see, I am function 1, and that's because the car class inherited function 1 and ran it in its constructor. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and the next tutorial is going to be over headers, which are these things up here, which we'll be going over again in the next tutorial, tutorial 23. So I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you there.